watching BTV.
Champion Iron's management team has done it again. In 2015, as the price of iron ore marked a decade low, the prior owners of Bloom Lake faced operational challenges. And although they invested billions in this northern Quebec mining complex, they filed for bankruptcy. And that's when Champion Iron saw an opportunity, with some risk involved.
There was a lot of risk that was taken in making a play for Bloom Lake. I mean, when we purchased the asset, it came with a $1.2 million bill for every month this was on care and maintenance.
But like in any high-stakes poker game, the odds are much more in your favor if you happen to be holding an ace. And Champion Iron has one.
Michael O'Keefe is our chairman, and he's a visionary. He's created significant value for shareholders in previous projects, including Riversdale, that he sold to Rio for over $4 billion. He was really key for Champion because he saw a structural shift between high-grade and low-grade iron ore and invested in a company and developed an asset at a time when most people gave up on iron ore.
The Bloom Lake project is situated in a geological area known as the Labrador Trough, the second largest hub of high-grade iron ore in the world. Champion was aware that demand was on the rise for what they had in the ground, particularly in China, for a couple of reasons.
First of all, it's the Blue Sky Initiative in China. So China needs to reduce pollution. High-grade iron ore allows China to reduce CO2 emissions and other polluting emissions. Secondly, China is transitioning from more structural steel to more complex steel making. And to do this, they need the high-grade iron ore to be able to produce these more complex steels.
With that in mind, Champion brought the Bloom Lake project back to life with profitability as the goal.
We commissioned the mine in February of 2018, 12 days ahead of schedule and under budget. It took us 4 months to reach commercial production. In our first year of operation, we produced just shy of 7 million tons of high-grade iron ore, generating $654 million of revenue.
Revenue is one thing, but how did Champion plan to make Bloom Lake profitable?
The most important thing for us was to evaluate what was the real cost delivered to China for the seaborne iron ore market. And if we could position ourselves under $50 US per ton delivered China, we knew that we had a sustainable business going forward. We've proven in our first year of operation that Bloom Lake can deliver a ton of high-grade iron ore in the vessel at Sept-Îles under $40 US per ton. In the current market, we're selling our material for over $100 US per ton.
Champion now has the opportunity to very quickly double their annual production capacity. Bloom Lake's predecessor already completed 75% of an expansion. A feasibility study to be delivered later this year will outline what it will take to finalize this expansion.
From the board approval, we require around 20 months to be able to deliver the first tons from the Phase 2 expansion at Bloom Lake. All the permitting is already done, so all that's required is to buy a new mining fleet, finish up the plant, and we're ready to go.
The company's well-established infrastructure, including rail and port access, is ready to handle the considerable expansion to 15 million tons a year. And if the global demand for high-grade iron ore continues to rise, Champion has even more opportunities in the region to consider.
Champion Iron is the largest publicly listed pure-play high-grade iron ore player in the world. We sit with a mine life of 20 years for the Bloom Lake operations, and we also have 5 times the amount of resources 60 kilometers south of Bloom Lake, which allows us to think of potential expansions at Bloom Lake or to be able to operate the site for the next 100 years.
With a proven ability to produce profitably and compete with global majors on the cost curve, Champion Iron is quickly being positioned as an emerging player with substantial growth opportunities. Champion Iron is clearly all in at Bloom Lake. The company recently announced a deal with the government of Quebec that will give them a 100% stake in the project.